What is going on, guys? Welcome back to part 2 of my Jojos review series here on my channel, where I'm reading through every single Jojos part and then making a video on each one. Then at the very end, I will rank every single one of them, so make sure you're subscribed to never miss another part, as well as if you missed part 1 where I reviewed the Phantom Blood, I recommend you check it out, as I personally think it's an underrated video on this channel. But without further ado, the world's weirdest manga, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 2, Battle Tendency. America, 1938. Robert E. O. Speedwagon, his foundation, and the Straits venture to Mexico to gather more information about the stone masks. While excavating the ruins, Speedwagon's men are slaughtered by Straits' sudden betrayal and his lust for power, putting Speedwagon in grave danger. Meanwhile, Joseph Joestar and his grandmother, Erina Pendleton, have moved to New York City from London. In this new environment, trouble is always around the corner for the hot-headed man, as cultural differences and stubborn citizens spark frequent fights. However, through the power of his ripple, an ability said to be inherited from his grandfather, Jonathan Joestar, he defeats foes effortlessly. One night at a downtown Italian restaurant, Joseph and Erina are provoked when an enormous man across their table taunts them. A proper gentleman from the same table apologizes and informs the two of a disturbing rumor. Speedwagon has been murdered. With an uncertain future, Joseph's bizarre adventure begins, meeting like-minded yet brawny individuals and unearthing remote mysteries along the way. Overall, the story for Part 2 let me down in many ways, being a sequel to Part 1, and I'll just say this right off the bat, I personally believe that Part 1 was the better manga. Throughout Part 2, I constantly found myself being bored and almost having to force myself through chapters at times. But that's not to say the manga was entirely bad. I thought a lot of the details about the story were very similar to Part 1. Like, I really loved the use of real-life locations, just like I did in Part 1, but almost even more so in this part due to the archaeology aspect of it. As they were digging up a multitude of ruins, to me, it really added to the story just for my personal enjoyment. Overall, the story for Part 2 kind of took a drop in writing for me, and I know that's a hot take, and a lot of people say that Part 2 is where JoJo catches its strides, but to me, Part 1 just felt like the better written story. For example, around the 59th chapter mark of Part 2, I had around 10 chapters left, and was surprised to find out that the final fight wouldn't finish till the final chapter. Now, that wouldn't be a problem if every single character hadn't thought they finally beat Cars like 800 times. I swear he died and got back up so many times, it completely took me out of the ending, and quickly became repetitive and boring. Now, the characters for Part 2 is where the manga really shines in my opinion. Joseph and Caesar really take the main stage and show how Araki's character writing has improved from Part 1 to Part 2. But that's only in terms of main characters. A point where I personally believe his characters took a dip in quality was the villains. They were boring and unmemorable compared to Dio. None of the fights really felt intense. Even the final fight when Lisa was hanging from the rope, it all kind of felt anticlimactic. But Caesar and Joseph were amazing and really fun to read, and a great turn from the otherwise very professional Jonathan from Part 1. Now, for the artwork is similar to what I said about it in Part 1, although this time I didn't have any issues reading the manga due to the shading. The artwork overall was great and enjoyable to read, and I am super looking forward to the future parts to see how his art evolves. Now, for the ending of Part 2 was something that I liked, but it didn't really feel like so much of an ending, but more of a continuation into Part 3. Now, overall, my opinions on Part 2 can change in the future, but I personally think that Part 1 is better, and if that's a hot take, then so be it, but I just enjoyed the dynamic between Dio and Jonathan more than anything else in Part 2. If I had to give Part 2 a rating, it would be a 6 to maybe a 7 out of 10 in the future. I'd have to wait on it to see if it would change, but as of right now, I'd give JoJo's Part 2 a 6 out of 10. With that being said, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below with your personal opinions on JoJo's Part 2, as I'd love to hear them. Make sure to hit that notification bell to never miss another upload, as well as check out some of the socials linked down in the description below. Be sure to check out one of the videos popping up on screen right about now. But with that said, as always, thanks for watching. Peace.